Is Parliament going to be the casualty after the Bihar election results? Now, that's been the talking point since yesterday. People are worried in the government about whether inevitably you'll see a more emboldened opposition, a stronger opposition pulling the government back. Government's extremely nervous. It's not talking about it on record, of course, but the sense of nervousness is very, very palpable. With me in the studio is Prafulla Ketkar, editor of The Organizer, Nalin Kohli of the BJP. At this stage, we have Madhu Gaud-Yakshi of the Congress Party, KC Tyagi of the JDU, Rahul Narvekar of the NCP joining us in just a few minutes. Now, Madhu Gaud-Yakshi, I know that you're very happy with your performance in the Bihar elections, and congratulations, because the Congress Party has done extremely well. Your convergence of seats is good.
Thank you.
Right? Your alliance has worked very well, and there are reasons to feel very satisfied. But tell us, Madhu Gaud-Yakshi, should Parliament become the casualty of your political success in Bihar?
Absolutely not. I hope what you're saying, the government is worried. I really doubt that. It's not in our DNA to obstruct the Parliament. Congress always played a responsible role as an opposition party. If you look at our track record in the past 18 months, the first budget session, the winter session followed by, or the last budget session this year itself, how many bills have been passed? And Congress has played its responsible role to get those bills passed.
So I don't think
my straight question.
I don't think so at all. No, I don't think so at all, Mr. Yakshi. This session of Parliament comes on the backdrop of a monsoon session 2015, during which the Rajya Sabha was the second least productive session of Parliament in the last 15 years. You know what your strategy in the Rajya Sabha has been. Why are you misrepresenting facts?
Who's responsible for it? Who's responsible for it? Who's responsible
what do you mean?
for it?
No, what do you mean? Who's responsible for it? The opposition is not responsible.
I will give an example. Let me give you
an example. Let me give you an example.
And also as a party deputy chief whip.
No. I'll give you an example. In the monsoon session, right, the opposition combined their voices in the Lok Sabha, because of which during the first 2 weeks of the session they were a complete washout, and it's a shame that only one piece of legislation was passed during the entire session. And as far as the Rajya Sabha is concerned, not the opposition in the Rajya Sabha is responsible for not a single bill being passed in the upper session House of Parliament. Not a single bill passed in the Rajya Sabha, and you are asking me, Madhu Gaud-Yakshi, who's responsible? You're responsible. Even you know you're responsible.
Okay, let me just. Okay. Now you're done. Let me answer to you.
Yes, I'm done.
Member
yes, go ahead.
With the 10 years experience, and also I worked as a party deputy chief whip. What the primary responsibility of running the Parliament lies with the government and Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and the Prime Minister himself. Quickly say, give a quick example to you. When civil nuclear deal was passed, the Samajwadi Party not with us. You can recollect Prime Minister Manmohan Singh how many times had a breakfast meeting with Mr. Advani, Jetli,
so you now want to take revenge for
on an important bills are pending.
So you want to take
Show
revenge.
me one example where Prime Minister Narendra Modi had one meeting with the leaders of opposition. He may be allergic to speak to a minority leader of opposition or a Dalit leader of opposition. Let him behave as a lead Prime Minister of India. Let him take a cue from the Pandit Nehruji how he behaved in 1950 when the leader of opposition was highly critical about Pandit Nehru's or government's functioning. All he said is, I will not agree any issue raised by the leader of opposition, but I will agree with one issue, that the leader of opposition has a right to speak.
Nalin
Did ever Prime Minister allow or the government allow to
should I open the
listen
debate?
to the leaders of opposition?
Should I open the debate? You have 64 bills pending in Parliament waiting to be passed, and if these bills are not passed, the people of this country will inevitably suffer. Nalin Kohli.
The primary responsibility is with the government, but they also have a responsibility because they are in Parliament.
Should I open the debate?
Please.
Nalin Kohli, Madhu Gaud-Yakshi says this evening that Narendra Modi is non-communicative with the opposition, does not speak to them, does not involve them in the process of legislation, and hence the BJP should not expect any cooperation from the opposition party, especially in the Rajya Sabha. He's very clear about that, isn't he, Praful? Second point which he says is Narendra Modi should learn from Jawaharlal Nehru on how to take the opposition together. Your response, after all, you have 64 bills pending in Parliament waiting to be passed, and if these bills are not passed, the people of this country will inevitably suffer. Nalin Kohli.
He made a third comment, which I thought came as a surprise. He tried to bring the Prime Minister's institution into the narrow prism of the Congress party's politics by saying he may have an allergy to speak to a Dalit or a minority leader of opposition. So that just basically shows you where the Congress is coming from and what their focus is. Their focus is not Parliament. Their focus is clearly anything but Parliament, and therefore that is becoming clear. Now let's go one by one. We put it on the record.
That's what you made it in the last elections, my friend.
We appreciate the role. I did not interrupt Mr. Yashiki. I would appreciate the same courtesy.
Okay, please, now go ahead. I'll wait until you finish.
We appreciate the role played by all opposition parties who helped Parliament run well. Yes, the primary responsibility is with the government. But they also have a responsibility because they are in Parliament. Unless they believe that they don't want to be in Parliament. So when they are in Parliament and they have been such wonderful sessions where more than the work to be legislated has happened, we've seen what happened in the monsoon session. Now if we have to use that as an example to go back into history, then history is ruthless. You can't look at history only from what you would like to see. So if you have to look at history from Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, then the question of Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji, lots of things are there. Would you ignore 1962? No. You have to assess history in totality. Would you remove Mrs. Indira Gandhi and the positive role she had in her perspective towards opposition leaders? No. So therefore, my concern is, yes, politics is going on. There will be politics. Political parties are entitled to do so. But there is one part when it comes, and when we have a track record of smooth functioning of Parliament after the new government has come in, and when all parties have collaborated, then the question has to be seen that if there was something that called for disruption, why it was taking place, and second, has the government not reached out? Mr. Venkaiah Naidu repeatedly in the last session
he says you haven't.
The Prime Minister,
he says
I'll give another example.
Not reached out.
Mrs.
He says you
Sushma
don't
Swaraj.
communicate. He says the Prime Minister does not take the opposition together. His point is exactly that. That's the point he makes. And 1 second, Prafulla Ketkar also coming in on that. But Nalin, I'm coming back to you.
Prafulla Ketkar.
See, okay,
when
he wants to make one last point.
She was heckled. She was heckled. Nobody heckled Mr. Rahul Gandhi when he spoke.
Who was heckled? Who was heckled?
Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, when she spoke in the last session, was not the Congress party heckling.
You're talking about Prime Minister.
Therefore, I want to hold on. I'm talking about functioning of Parliament. With regard to the Prime Minister has also given indications. The government has given indications. This is not a government where the Prime Minister's institution is divorced from the government. This is an institution of the government where the Prime Minister serves the nation with his entire team as one institution. So that model has changed over the last 10 years, Madhubhai.
And therefore, I'd like to get KC Tyagi into the debate along with Prafulla Ketkar. KC Tyagi ji, first of all, Prafulla Ketkar wants to respond to Madhu Gaur Yakshi's charge that Narendra Modi is not communicative. He does not communicate. He does not take people along. This point is being made repeatedly. You have a Prime Minister who is confrontational approach, who is not consensual. Your response, please, to Madhu Gaur Yakshi.
See,
you feel the Prime Minister's style is the government style is confrontational in Parliament?
The point is, are we ready to take the collective responsibility of the Parliament functioning or not?
He says the responsibility is yours. You heard him. He says the responsibility is not collective. It's the primary responsibility.
What happened during the budget session? It was the most fruitful session as far as the recent history is concerned.
Not the monsoon session.
Not the monsoon session.
They say you spoiled it. They say you spoiled it, as in the BJP side spoiled it. They did not take us along. How many times did the Prime Minister consult Rahul Gandhi in the legislative process?
I'm not here to represent the BJP, but what I'm more concerned about is what Lalu said, who is not a member of Parliament. What Lalu Yadav said yesterday, that I am going to Delhi. Nitish will look after Bihar.
What's wrong with that?
And nothing wrong with that. But I am going there to challenge the Modi government, and we have to destabilize it. That
did
kind
he say
of
destabilize?
Yes, he said.
No. Did he say destabilize?
He didn't say that destabilize.
He said I am going to challenge this government. He's going to. I am going to challenge this government. Now, how he is going to challenge?
That doesn't mean destabilize.
Because Lalu is leading in Bihar, is it one state election? Is it going to change the direction of our growth, our development path? That is the real question we should ask.
Lalu never said he destabilized the Modi government.
No. He said I am going to challenge this government. If he is going to challenge this government, is Congress party is going to follow him because he is your alliance partner. That is the question.
Not tolerant.
Are we
All he
going
said
to
is
change
the
the?
Modi
Are
government
we
is
going
not
to
tolerant.
change the development path
Behaving indemocratically?
because of one state election
wrong with it?
results?
No, what's wrong in it is basically this, Mr. Yakshi. What's wrong is this, that you can fight your political battles as much as you want. But please tell me.
That's what he said.
No,
That's
no,
exactly
fight.
what he said.
No, fight your political battles during elections. केसी त्यागी जी, जरा आप इधर बीजेपी के नलिन कोहली है और ऑर्गेनाइजर मैगजीन के जो एडिटर है प्रफुल्ल केतकर हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में है. ये कह रहे हैं आप जो पॉलिटिक्स करना चाहिए, राजनीति करना चाहिए, कीजिए. इस वक्त 6 बिल है जो इंट्रोड्यूस होने वाले विंटर सेशन पे. इससे नौकरियां होंगी, इससे इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ होगा. आप अपनी पॉलिटिक्स को देश के प्रगति के सामने क्यों महत्व दे रहे हैं? Why are you holding back GST? Why are you holding back land bill? Why are you holding back real estate regulation and development bill, which is all hinged on the winter session of parliament? इस तरह की नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स आप कब तक करेंगे? बिहार में जीत चुके हैं केसी त्यागी जी, मगर इधर जो हमारे बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता हैं वो कहते हैं बिहार की जीत को लेके आप देश में नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स मत कीजिए और पार्लियामेंट को कैजुअल्टी मत बनाइए. केसी त्यागी जी टू नलिन कोहली, व्हाट वुड यू से?
No, but I never said that. I think you are probably using someone else's quote inadvertently, Mr. Goswami. I did
what
not
is it
bring
that
the
you-
Bihar example in my entire comment
I am
that
bringing the
I was
Bihar
commenting on the
example.
Congress.
I am bringing the Bihar example in the context of whether the parliament can be held hostage as it was held in the monsoon
Sure,
session.
but I didn't say that. You are entitled to. I'm just merely
Sure.
saying that I didn't say that because you quoted me, sir. That's all.
Sure, but I am asking today, I am asking the opposition whether after having tasted success in Bihar, what the impact on parliament is going to be. I think that's a very relevant question to ask. K.C. Tyagi ji,
absolutely.
will you bring the politics after Bihar into parliament?
अर्नब जी, मैं आपकी भी और अपने और मेरे प्रिय मित्र नलिन कोहली जी की भी जानकारी बढ़ाना चाहता हूं कि मैं जीएसटी की कमेटी का मेंबर हूं और सारे जितने सुझाव सरकार की तरफ से आए हैं, कमेटी के चेयरमैन की तरफ से आए हैं, सब पर हमने साइन किए हैं. इट मीन्स वी आर सपोर्टिंग द जीएसटी, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, आई एम द मेंबर ऑफ द कमेटी ऑफ इंश्योरेंस. जो भी प्रस्ताव, जो भी सुझाव चंदन मित्रा ने दिए थे, सारे के सारे 49% की इंश्योरेंस में एफडीआई होनी चाहिए, उस पर मेरे साइन हैं. माइंस की कमेटी का मैं मेंबर हूं, उस पे मेरे साइन है कि माइंस में रिफॉर्म होने चाहिए. कोल की कमेटी में मेरे मित्र मेंबर हैं, उन्होंने सारे जितने भी रिकमेंडेशंस हैं उन पर सब पर साइन किए. आप अपोजिशन के साथ इतना इर्रेस्पॉन्सिबली बिहेव करोगे, ये मुझे यकीन नहीं. अच्छा, एक धमका करके समर्थन लेना चाहते हैं क्या? यू विल थ्रेट अस एंड दे विल टेक सपोर्ट अस. जो वित्त मंत्री जी की भाषा है कि जो रिफॉर्म्स का विरोध कर रहे हैं, वो ग्रोथ का विरोध कर रहे हैं, वो देश का विरोध कर रहे हैं, और जो ऑनरेबल पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर मिनिस्टर की भाषा है कि कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रहे हैं, ग्रोथ खत्म हो जाएगी, रोजगार नहीं होंगे. अब मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं अर्नब बाबू कि क्या प्रधानमंत्री की विदेश यात्रा की वजह से कभी पार्लियामेंट के सेशन की तारीखें बढ़ाई गई हैं? एक तो पार्लियामेंट में वो आते ही नहीं है. मैं चाहता हूं कि राज्यसभा, जो ट्रिपल स्पॉट है आपका और बीजेपी का, उनके कितनी मिनट की हिस्सेदारी राज्यसभा की डेलिब्रेशंस में है, या तो ये दोनों बता दें या मैं बताता हूं आपको. अब 18 तारीख और 20 तारीख नवंबर, पिछले 50-60 से कन्वेंशन है. अनटिल एंड अनलेस कोई इमरजेंसी ना हो, ये मानसून सेशन होना चाहिए. क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री को विदेश यात्रा में जाना है तो पार्लियामेंट बुलाना या पार्लियामेंट का सत्र इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट, दैट मच इम्पोर्टेंट जैसा विदेश जाना है. मैं विदेश जाने के खिलाफ नहीं, और विदेश का भी आपका ये हाल है जो कई हजार साल से नेपाल आपके साथ था, वहां पे आज जो है आप नाकाबंदी लगाए हुए हैं. सारी नेपाल की जनता त्रस्त है और पूरा का पूरा नेपाल का व्यापार भारत से कट करके चीन के साथ चला गया है. ये आपकी विदेश नीति का नतीजा है. आप यहां से चक्रवर्ती राजा बन के गए थे नेपाल में, 2 दिन तक
नेपाल की बात तो नहीं हो रही है, नेपाल को छोड़ दीजिए,
नहीं आना चाहिए।
नेपाल को छोड़ दीजिए केसी त्यागी जी। आप आलोचना करता चाहते हैं सरकार की तो पार्लियामेंट के इशू पर कीजिए। नलिन कोहली जवाब दे। नलिन कोहली अब तो काफी सीधे तरह से केसी त्यागी ने कहा है, एक कहते हैं आपका गलत अप्रोच है पार्लियामेंट की तरफ, दूसरी बात है वो कहते हैं आप डिलिबरेटली ह्यूमिलिएट कर रहे हैं पार्लियामेंट को तौहीन कर रहे हैं, पार्लियामेंट का रेस्पेक्ट नहीं करते, पार्लियामेंट के डेट्स बदल देते हैं क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री विदेश यात्रा में है। तीसरी बात है कहते हैं कि जो पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर और केंद्रीय फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर का लैंग्वेज है वो कहते हैं इरेस्पॉन्सिबल है। वो कहते हैं अगर कोऑपरेशन चाहिए तो एक तरीके से कोऑपरेशन आपको मिलेगा। यू विल गेट कोऑपरेशन इफ यू सीक कोऑपरेशन इन अ प्रॉपर मैनर। So what he's saying is that your approach is flawed. Why don't you? Is your approach flawed? No. Nalin Kohli, after the Bihar elections, will you change your approach? Madhu Gaud Yakshi, is that the basic point? Because Casey, I see that you made that same basic point as well. That the problem is of the way the government approaches the opposition. Yes, Mr. Yakshi. Yes, Mr. Yakshi, go ahead.
About the GST bill in the Rajya Sabha. Quick point. Mr. Yashwant Sinha of the BJP is the chairman of the committee, and the standing committee made some recommendations. The earlier GST bill was approved during the UPA time, and the latest, after Mr. Yashwant Sinha, with the Congress members like Deepinder Hooda, included in that committee, that recommendations were not accepted, and government proposing bulldozing other different bill, and that what the leaders of opposition have requested is send this GST bill to selective committee. That's all they asked. They didn't obstruct it. Congress said we are in favor of GST bill, along with JDU also. But government is so adamant and arrogant, and they don't want to send it to selective committee. And Mr. Arun Jaitley on the 5th August 2015, he says, Mr. Arun Jaitley says, there is a constitutional provision without the parliament, government can function. This is the mindset and attitude of the leader of the house in Rajya Sabha, and he made a similar speech on 5th August. That is the mindset of the government.
You see, Nalin, now you're really between a rock and a hard place. Look at the words being used by the opposition. They are calling you adamant. One. Second, they are calling you arrogant. Third, they are calling you confrontational. Fourth, they are saying that you humiliate Parliament. Fifthly, they are saying that you're undermining the Parliament of India by going out and saying that the government can function without Parliament. Basically, Nalin, I think it's time that you respond to the fairly direct charges of K.C. Tyagi and Madhu Gaud Yakshi that you have a problem of approach. That after the Bihar elections, they want you to come down to earth. They want you to be realistic. वो बेसिकली कह रहे हैं घमंड बंद कीजिए। आप घमंड, वो वर्ड ने यूज किया, मगर बेसिक तो वही बात है कि घमंड छोड़ दीजिए और पार्लियामेंट में आइए। जी जरूर कहें। आप अब तक तो अवॉइड कर रहे हैं डायरेक्ट रिप्लाई।
बिल्कुल नहीं, मैं तो कुछ नहीं अवॉइड कर रहा, मैं शांति से सुन रहा हूँ, क्योंकि मेरी एक बुरी आदत है, मैं सबकी बात सुनता हूँ, जब मुझसे पूछते तब मैं जवाब देता हूँ। और पहले मैं केसी त्यागी जी मेरे बड़े भाई समान हैं, शायद हो सकता है कार्यक्रम में नहीं थे जब मैंने स्पष्ट रूप से कहा था कि हम स्वागत करते हैं और इस बात को स्वीकारते हैं और इसको देश के सामने भी रखते हैं कि जो पिछले सत्र चले थे वो सहयोग के आधार पे ही चले थे, और उस सहयोग में जो विपक्ष की पार्टियां, उनकी अति महत्वपूर्ण एक भूमिका थी। तो इस बात को मैंने पहले ही रखी, और केसी त्यागी भाई इस बात को आगे रख रहे थे कि वो भूमिका किस रूप से थी। चाहे वो बोल रहे थे अलग अलग कमिटीज के सदस्य हैं जहां उनके हस्ताक्षर हैं, तो इस बात को आगे बढ़ाते हुए वो बात बढ़ी। नाउ लेट्स टेक द डिबेट टू द नेक्स्ट लेवल, व्हिच इज अबाउट अ रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द गवर्नमेंट एंड द अपोजिशन पार्टीज। That there has been a problem was clear in the last session. That the media, everyone else has been saying that the country has been going through an important election, an election where everyone was involved heavily, could have been a factor. Now that election is behind us, the verdict is clear, a government is going to be sworn in, and good luck to that government because they have a task cut out for Bihar. Now when it comes to the center,
let's talk about
I'm coming one by one on each one of your things. I'm coming one by one to Parliament.
Let's talk about Parliament. Yeah, go ahead.
May I just finish this? May I just finish it? Yeah. So just to finish it, certainly the government of India will and is expected to and does take the steps that is required to take to bring about a smooth functioning of Parliament. With regard to whether a select committee should be done or not done, that's part of parliamentary decisions.
But you've
Certainly
got to
not
be
the decision of a
accommodative.
spokesperson to comment
You've
whether
got
that's
to
the
be
right thing.
accommodative. Nalin,
Perhaps,
you
but
have
in the
no
last
choice
session-
now. No, Nalin, understand this. You have no choice now. Rahul Narvekar, my point is,
Goswami,
let's get you into the debate
Mr.
because you're coming in late.
It is
No,
not
no,
a
Mr.
matter
Kohli,
of choice with us
Kohli.
or with the opposition.
No, Mr. Kohli, you're not getting my point. Mr. Kohli, you're not getting my point.
Of yours or his.
No, Mr. Kohli, you're not getting my point. This country cannot be hamstrung by the absence of any legislative action. With the loss in Bihar, you have lost 16 Rajya Sabha seats. Reforms hinges on them. Everybody, including the business community, is saying you've got to learn to be accommodative. Am I correct? Back-to-back electoral drubbings. The opposition has a spring in their step. Your reform agenda depends on your ability to build a consensus with them. You need to step forward. You need to let go of the ego. Rahul
But
Narvekar,
then
come
how
into the
did the
debate.
last sessions run? If there was no consensus, how did the last sessions
What ran
run,
in the
Mr.
Rajya
Goswami?
Sabha? What
You
ran,
have
Mr.
one example
Mr.
of the
Kohli?
monsoon session you're talking. So let me show the mirror.
Mr.
Before
Kohli,
the start of the session,
Why?
Mr. Rahul Gandhi is on
Why the
record to
monsoon
say,
session
I
was-
won't let this session run. So therefore, it takes both ways.
So you're
Why?
saying they have a mindset. You're
Why?
saying they have a mindset. Rahul
You
Narvekar.
giving a
Rahul
credit-
Narvekar.
you giving
Rahul
a
Narvekar,
credit
Nalin
in the
Kohli
budget
says.
session
No, Nalin Kohli says.
for the opposition cooperation.
Nalin Kohli says. One second. Nalin Kohli says Rahul Narvekar, the opposition has a mindset. In a way, I agree with him because Anand Sharma has already said, and I quote, "Bills are not our priority." He has said parliamentary democracy cannot be restricted to one or two bills. Look at what the opposition has done. They boycotted a dinner hosted by the Prime Minister for dignitaries invited during the Indo-African Summit. That's what I call, Rahul Narvekar, a standoffish attitude. If you want to make every parliament session, you as
But
in
when
the
a Prime
combined
Minister
opposition want to make every
humiliate-
parliament session unproductive, then say so.
Icon.
Say so. No,
And the
say
foreign
so.
dignitaries praising the Pandit Nehru and our own government and the Prime Minister of the day insult our own icons. And how do you expect us to attend the dinner, Arnab?
No, who insulted your icon? Who insulted your
We
icon?
can't be keeping India
When the
hostage
foreign dignitaries,
just because
the
there's a
president of
perception
South Africa is praising
those belonging to the Nehru Gandhi family are being honored. They've been honored, they are being honored, they continue being honored, they've been probably over-honored by some people's standards.
Family. Nehru belongs to India.
He certainly
Nehru belongs
does.
to India, not to
Get
one
over
party or
Nehru.
family.
So, but get over Nehru. Why bring Nehru into everything? We're talking about the India-Africa summit, you bring in Nehru. We talk about the GST bill, you bring in Nehru.
Pandit Nehru, who's initiated, who's architect of
How is Pandit Nehru being humiliated with 54
So how
countries
is Pandit
participating in something historic?
And you don't
how is-
mention about him.
But how is Jawaharlal Nehru, for God's sake, linked with what we are discussing about what's happening in Parliament? Let that be a separate
Well, you just
discussion.
mentioned the opposition boycotted the dinner hosted by Prime Minister.
Yes,
Let
you
facts
boycotted.
know, the country
Am I
should
wrong?
know the facts.
Am I wrong?
Country
Did you
should know
not?
the facts.
No, did you not?
Why?
Did you not?
Why should we boycott it?
No,
And also,
because
we did, and I gave the
because-
reason.
should you? But
I gave the
Madhubhai, you
reason.
have
I gave the
boycotted
reason.
it.
And also the Parliament.
You have
No,
And the
boycotted
Parliament
it.
also.
No,
Ms. Arnab,
Mr.
I was on your show when you
Yes, you were.
exposed the corruption of the central government ministers of Sushma Swaraj and the Chief Minister. It was exposed by the Times Now and other media. It's not the opposition. Isn't an opposition role to take the voice of the people to the Parliament, to the government? Is the government responsible to answer on the
Nalin Kohli.
No, but discussion is
Nalin
the way,
Kohli.
not blocking the parliament. Discussion is the way out, not the blocking the parliament.
Nalin Kohli basically.
Well, my friend,
Nalin Kohli,
sitting
you
in a
don't have a
glass
choice.
building, you can't.
No, Nalin Kohli, bottom line is this. You don't have a choice. The opposition is telling you, you have to be accommodative. It's your agenda, your parliament session. They have nothing to lose. They have a spring in their step.
I
And
can
remember this-
rephrase that with your permission.
Rephrase what?
It is not that we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
When it comes to the interests of the country, those who swear by the Constitution have no choice but to serve the country, which is each one of any person who swears by the Constitution of India. However, having said that too, the primary responsibility
I appreciate you
obviously
saying
is
that.
going to be on the government, because it's government that manages the House, that proposes
I hope
many
it-
things.
I hope the
There's
Prime
no doubt
Minister
about it. But that
represented
does not
the party.
mean that the responsibility of those who are not in government and the opposition is obliterated.
No, why are we discussing this? And I now go to Rahul Narvekar. We are discussing it because you see, Rahul Narvekar, things are not good. The government had to re-promulgate the land ordinance 3 times. It hasn't got any closer to bringing the opposition on board. Pressure is building on the government to deliver on Big Bang reforms. They need a 2/3 majority in the Rajya Sabha to carry the GST through. Now you understand, it's also your responsibility, Rahul Narvekar. It's your responsibility and the opposition's responsibility to not let the people of this country down by bringing your petty politics into parliament every time. You didn't do this when you were in the government, when Sharad Pawar was a minister. Please tell me, what thrills do you get by ensuring that jobs are not created, by ensuring that the growth rate goes down, by ensuring that the reforms agenda is pushed back, by ensuring that we lose out to China, by ensuring that we lose out our global competitiveness? What do you gain? Please tell not Nalin Kohli, tell the people watching Newshour tonight, what do you gain, Rahul Narvekar? What do you gain?
Well, thank you, Arnab. Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head some time back when you said that this approach of the government is my way or the highway. I think the government today believes that they're running the Bharatiya Janata Party and not the government of India, because they've not at all taken or made an effort to take a consensus on any issue. Their approach has been my way or the highway right since the beginning, and therefore we are seeing a scenario that we are seeing in Parliament today. Number 2, Nalin Kohli rightly said that every person who swears by the Constitution definitely would serve the nation, would do everything to do for the betterment of the nation. But you cannot serve the nation by undermining the basic principle of parliamentary democracy. That's what the basic fundament of our Constitution is. And therefore, unless this government realizes that, I don't think we can make any progress or any headway in the current scenario. I think it is the responsibility of the government, it is the responsibility of the government of the day to take everyone on board, to consult people, to give them their due credit, to give them their due hearing, and then come to decisions. And I'm sure there won't be a problem like this. It is not that in the past we've had the UPA, which did not have a majority like the Bharatiya Janata Party enjoys today. Despite that, the UPA made it a point to consult senior leaders across the party line and come to a consensus, which we see clearly lacking today. And that's a fact which I don't think even Nalin Kohli will deny. So I think the answer to this, the problem at hand is for the government to let off its ego, to have a consensus, to consult everyone who enjoys a stake in the parliament.
Rahul, are you just throwing words in the air? How can you mention, if you're talking about ego, okay, now let me look at the words which have come up here. Okay, Rahul, now Mr. Nalin Kohli, let us be very clear about the words being used by the entire opposition. And in this discussion, please realize, Nalin Kohli, आप अकेले पड़ गए हैं. एक लीडर कह रहे हैं आप एडमेंट है, एक लीडर कह रहे हैं आप एरोगेंट है, दूसरे लीडर कह रहे हैं आप कॉन्फ्रंटेशनल है, एनसीपी के लीडर कह रहे हैं आप इगोटिस्टिकल है.
विपक्षी पार्टियां हैं अर्नब भाई.
नहीं, सारे विपक्षी पार्टी गलत है.
उनकी भाषा हमारी भाषा में कुछ तो अंतर होगा, नहीं तो हम लोग सब सरकार में एक साथ नहीं होते क्या?
देशवासियां हैं.
नहीं, वहां से कैसी त्यागी जी, कैसी त्यागी.
Mr. Nalin Kohli, I have a simple question for you. In the last parliament session, when the opposition had demanded the Prime Minister to speak on a particular subject, for 13 days the Prime Minister preferred not to speak on it. After wasting 13 days of the Parliament, the Prime Minister makes a statement he is willing to speak on the issue. Now, who is responsible for the waste of time? Is the Prime Minister's ego or is it the opposition? This is a question which you need to answer.
And what happened after that, Mr. Narvekar? Would you like the story to be said in totality?
If I have to point fingers, your history about disruption of Parliament
I'm merely saying, since you started a story, why don't you complete it? What happened thereafter too? Because you can't take a film up to interval and then say, at interval time, now the story is over because it's convenient or likable by me. So let's take it to the end.
But if the hero of the film turns out to be the villain, then the problem is at hand, which needs to be addressed.
But how do you know that at the interval, Mr. Narvekar? How do you know that at the interval? That's my charge.
The conduct of the hero right in the beginning of the film has
has been
Well,
of a
that
villain.
just shows you are there with a fixed mindset. You have decided the script, you have written the end, and even before the end has come, you have decided what should happen. So, Mr. Narvekar, you have just done a commendable job of putting out what is the problem.
And number 3, Mr. Nalin Kohli, why do you want to ask the opposition? Ask people within your party about democracy, what they face within the party outfit.
Now when you have no defense to what I say, Mr. Narvekar, you are taking the help of what my party people should be saying. Mr. Narvekar, this is becoming interesting. Mr. Narvekar, this is really interesting. When you are unable to counter the points I've raised, you are now taking defense. Perhaps, Mr. Goswami, why don't we listen to what K.C. Tyagi ji has to say? He's the most experienced person and the only one with the parliamentary experience on this panel. I'm not a parliamentarian. Mr. Narvekar is not Madhubhai, yes, but Mr. K.C. Tyagi is a very strong parliamentary leader. So in that sense, he may have something to say.
Nalin Kohli, Mr. Narvekar and Nalin Kohli, please understand here now. This is a very serious subject and there must be a reason we are discussing it tonight. Look at what is happening within your own party. In the winter session, your silence on your motor mouth ministers is going to be a focus point of the opposition. The reason is because there is concern that while what has happened in Bihar has happened, governance, legislation, parliament, reforms, every damn thing is going to come to a standstill. अब केसी त्यागी जी आप इलैबोरेट करें. आप तीनों पार्टियां मिलके कह रहे हैं कि बीजेपी जो है नॉन अकोमोडेटिव है, कॉन्फ्रंटेशनल है, एडमेंट है, ईगोटिस्टिकल है. जी ने केसी त्यागी जी आप कहिए. I go ahead please, but please tell Nalin Kohli directly what change you want to see in the BJP.
प्लीज अर्णव जी, मैं यूपीए की कमेटी के समय भी था, अब भी कमेटी के समय भी. मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं, नलिन जी को बताना चाहता हूं, जो जीएसटी बिल है जब चिदम्बरम के टाइम पे आया था उस समय हमने और भाजपा ने विरोध किया था, चूंकि हम इनके साथ थे. जू का त्यों आज कैसे कह सकते हो वे रिफॉर्म विरोधी हैं? इंश्योरेंस में जब चिदम्बरम साहब के समय में आया था वो भी 49% चाहते थे, तब इन्होंने विरोध किया था, हम इनके साथ थे. अब किस तरह से कह सकते हैं? रियल एस्टेट वाला बिल है, तब ये जो आया था अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री की तरफ से, तब बीजेपी ने विरोध किया था, हम इनके साथ थे. अब ये कैसे कह सकते हैं कि क्यों ला रहे हो? ऐसे ही माइंस का बिल है, कोल का बिल है. एक्चुअली जितने भी ये जितने भी रिफॉर्म्स के बिल हैं ये सारे कांग्रेस पार्टी के टाइम के लाए हुए हैं. तो और उस समय सारे बिलों का विरोध.
सपोर्ट कीजिए.
एक सेकंड
सपोर्ट कीजिए.
मैं तो आपसे कह रहा हूं हमारा टोटल सपोर्ट है. बात तो सुन लीजिए, हमारा तो टोटल सपोर्ट है. हम तो जीएसटी सपोर्ट करते हैं, रियल एस्टेट करते हैं, इंश्योरेंस करते हैं, माइंस करते हैं, कोल करते हैं, छोड़ करके लैंड एक्विजिशन बिल को, जिसपे इन्होंने हमारे साथ कांग्रेस पार्टी को प्रेशराइज किया था और लैंड एक्विजिशन एक्ट को एज लीडर ऑफ द अपोजिशन सुषमा जी ने कहा था दिस इज माई बिल नाउ. तो हाउ कैन यू अपोज योर बिल नाउ? ये कथनी करनी डबल मत कीजिए. हम कोऑपरेट करने के लिए तैयार हैं. और दूसरा मेरा ये कहना, अर्णव जी, मैं बीच में मैं दखल नहीं डालता हूं. जो इश्यूज ऑफ रूरल डिस्ट्रेस हैं वो भी फोकस में आने चाहिए. आप कह रहे हैं हम तीनों खिलाफ हैं. शरद पवार जी के बारे में प्रधानमंत्री कह रहे हैं कि मुझे तीसरे दिन सलाह देते हैं. तो शरद पवार जी सलाह ले रहे हो तो फिर एनसीपी को क्यों कह रहे हो? आपके लाए हुए बिल और कांग्रेस के लाए हुए बिल एक हैं. हाँ, कुछ सवालों पर हम आपसे कहना चाहते हैं, वी डिफर कि रूरल इंडिया के जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, 3 साल से शुगर केन का दाम नहीं बढ़ा. भाई, आपने प्रॉमिस किया मैनिफेस्टो में, आपके प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा 3 साल से गेहूं की और चावल की एमएसपी नहीं बढ़ रही है. जो 300 रुपए क्विंटल का बोनस दिया जा रहा था किसानों को, आपके सिविल सप्लाई मिनिस्टर ने वो खत्म कर दिया. 42% आदमी खेती छोड़ रहे हैं. और अर्णव जी, मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूं, बीजेपी से नहीं, क्योंकि आप रिफॉर्म्स के बड़े भारी समर्थक हैं. 20% किसानों ने कम ट्रैक्टर खरीदे हैं पिछले साल के मुकाबले में. अगर किसानों की परचेजिंग पावर खत्म हो जाएगी, आपके रिफॉर्म्स अपने आप खत्म हो जाएंगे.
फिर नहीं, ये सब बात ठीक है, मगर पार्लियामेंट को ठप करने की क्या जरूरत है? आप हर बार पार्लियामेंट का क्यों ठप करते हैं? और दूसरी बात आप एक भी उदाहरण नहीं दे पाए केसी त्यागी जी। आपकी बात भी मैंने बहुत गंभीरता से आपकी बात सुनी। आप और राहुल नार्वेकर और मधु गौड़ियाक्षी एक एग्जाम्पल देते जो आप कह रहे हैं घमंड, कॉन्फ्रंटेशन, इस वाले एटीट्यूड का, तो एग्जाम्पल तो दे कि प्रॉब्लम क्या। आप हमेशा कहते हैं कि ऑपोजिशन को लेके नहीं चलते हैं। एग्जाम्पल दीजिए, एग्जाम्पल दीजिए ताकि वो दूसरी साइड से रिस्पॉन्ड कर सके।
The government of the day in the last parliament session, there was a united demand by the opposition that the Prime Minister should make a statement on the issues
So your
of
problem is with the Prime Minister.
issues of internal
So
violence
Rahul
in the
said
country.
your problem is with the Prime Minister.
What happened with the statement?
The Prime
your
Minister
problem-
of this country preferred to allow disruption for 13 days in Parliament, and after that,
What after the statement was made? What happened after the statement was made? What happened after the statement was made?
No, Prafulla Ketkar asking you what happened after the statement was made. He says what happened after the
Goswami,
statement
I
was
want
made.
to come in
Prafulla
for a moment.
Ketkar.
The session was extended. The session was extended.
Let me tell you
See,
very clearly.
Tyagi ji is a
Let me tell you
very
clearly, our
seasoned
stand has
parliamentarian. When what he is saying is, JDU is supporting so many reform bills. Can we get a sense from this that by and large the parliamentary functioning will be smooth as far as these bills are concerned? Can we get this sense then, Mr. Tyagi?
No, but the bottom line is.
लेकिन
now the
जी,
लेकिन.
हम चाहेंगे
Now the लेकिन.
हाँ, ये बिल पास हो जाए, ये गवर्नमेंट बिजनेस है। कुछ पीपुल्स कंसर्न भी हैं। आपके 5 मंत्रियों के
लेकिन क्या
बयान
उसको
सुना
पार्लियामेंट में
तो
उठाएंगे
आपको भी शर्म।
या पार्लियामेंट के बाहर ही उठाएंगे?
मेरी बात सुनिए आप, आप स्पीकर मत बनिए, मेरी बात सुन लीजिए।
जी बिल्कुल।
एक मंत्री आपकी कहती है कि जो वोट नहीं देंगे हमें वो हरामजादे हैं। आर भी
नलिन कोहली रिप्लाई करे।
आपका
नलिन कोहली रिप्लाई करे।
मैं केसी त्यागी जी,
नलिन कोहली रिप्लाई करे। अभी
आप बड़े हैं त्यागी जी, आप बड़े हैं और आपका अनुभव इस कार्यक्रम में तो सबसे ज्यादा है, लेकिन इस विषय पर प्रधानमंत्री जी भी तो बोले थे। अब अगर हमें हर चीज इतिहास में अगर जैसे जाना है
ऐसा
तो फिर
आदमी
जैसे
मंत्री
आप
रहना
ही
क्यों
ने कहा
चाहिए?
त्यागी जी, नहीं बिल्कुल, मैं आ रहा हूँ त्यागी जी। जो मैं बात कह रहा था कि आप लोग जेडीयू भाजपा साथ थे, हमने साथ विरोध किया। आज जेडीयू कांग्रेस के साथ है। किसी जमाने में सोशलिस्ट लोग और कांग्रेस एक तरफ हो ही नहीं सकते थे, ये अकाल्पनिक थी, लेकिन वो अकाल्पनिक चीज आज संभव ही नहीं, स्पष्ट है। आप कांग्रेस के साथ हैं, इसका ये अर्थ देखिए राजनीतिक रूप से। मैं कुछ और कह रहा हूं सर मैं बात पूरी कर लूं। आज जो है जो परिस्थिति है, क्योंकि ना राजनीति, ना देश, ना संसदीय प्रक्रिया जो है, इसमें बदलाव तो आते रहेंगे, बढ़ते रहेगा ना, गाड़ी रुकती तो है नहीं। तो क्या हम ये कहेंगे कि जेडीयू ने भाजपा का विरोध किया था कांग्रेस के खिलाफ, तो आज कांग्रेस के साथ है तो भाजपा की विरोध करेगी, लेकिन कांग्रेस के समर्थन वाली चीजों को करेगी? ऐसा नहीं है। जो चीजें देश के हित में है वो तो सबको ही सोचना पड़ेगा। दूसरी बात जो कही जा रही है, जैसे घमंड की बात हुई या कुछ, उसी रूप से अगर इन शब्दों का प्रयोग माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के लिए किया जा रहा है और कोई स्पष्टता नहीं मिल रही क्यों किया जा रहा है, तो ये बात उन पर भी लागू हो जाएगी जो संसदीय प्रक्रिया को रोक रहे हैं अपने हट में। तो मुझे लगता है जहां राजनीतिक बातें, क्योंकि संसद के अंदर में विद इन द पार्लियामेंट देयर इज स्कोप फॉर इवन पॉलिटिकल वर्क टू हैपन, even political discussions to happen.
You're saying,
but the legislative business has happened and gone well. So that would be the effort. That would be the effort of the government. That would be the effort of the government. May I finish? May I finish one sentence? Last sentence. That would be the effort of the government to ensure that what has passed in the past, we can also be able to pass bills in the same manner in the forthcoming.
Should we go to an uncomfortable subject? Are we ready to talk directly?
No, we can go to any subject, sir.
Okay, let's go to the Madhu Gaudiakshi. Should we be very direct now with Nalin Kohli?
Please.
Should I say some things Nalin will not like?
Please
as long as you don't fly off the handle.
Mr. Goswami, you are not going to stop because I like it or I don't. You will do it because you believe that it brings value or doesn't bring value to your show.
Okay, let me tell you. I would say this, Nalin Kohli, कि जरा अपने गिरेबान में झांक कर देखिए. Look at what is happening within your own party. In the winter session, your silence on your motor mouth ministers is going to be a focus point of the opposition. आपके मोटर माउथ मिनिस्टर, आपके गिरिराज सिंह, जिन्होंने कल कहा जो केसी त्यागी ने कहा कि वो कह रहे हैं कि बिहार इलेक्शन के बाद पाकिस्तान जैसा माहौल बनेगा बिहार में, आप इन मोटर माउथ मिनिस्टर्स को बंद क्यों नहीं करते हैं? और इज देयर नॉट अ डेमोक्रेटिक राइट ऑफ द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज टू से देयर विल बी नो वर्क इन पार्लियामेंट अनलेस यू पुट अ लीश ऑन योर मोटर माउथ मिनिस्टर्स? केसी त्यागी जी, क्या ये बात इशू पार्लियामेंट में उठाने लायक नहीं है? और अगर पार्लियामेंट में उठाया जाए तो one second. Hear the opposition. No, hear the opposition. Yes, केसी त्यागी जी.
अर्नब जी, जो प्रिम्बल है उसका संविधान का, उसमें भारत के सभी नागरिक को धर्म, विश्वास, उपासना का अधिकार मिला हुआ है. आप कैसे अखलाक को मार सकते हो? कैसे आपका मंत्री संजीव बालियान जाके कहेगा और संगीत सोम कि तन, मन, धन और गन से मदद करेंगे? कैसे महेश शर्मा मिनिस्टर कहेगा जाकर के कि ये इंसिडेंट है, और उसका बेटा कह रहा है कि सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा? आपको शर्म नहीं आती क्या?
जवाब दे. नहीं, जवाब दे.
बिल्कुल जवाब दूंगा केसी भाई,
जवाब दे.
अभी जवाब दे रहा हूं. जैसे आपने उन उदाहरणों को कहा, तो वैसे मैं भी तो पार्टी का सदस्य हूं, कहा कि ये एक मर्डर है. अखलाक डेथ इज अ मर्डर. Whoever is behind that murder has to be punished in the strongest possible way.
राहुल नार्वेकर
आवाजें आ सकती हैं. एक मिनट
राहुल नार्वेकर,
मैं कह रहा हूं, इसीलिए तो मैं इस बात को उसको तुरंत कह देना कि अखलाक को बीजेपी ने जैसे मारा, क्या ये उचित होगा? क्या ये गलत तो नहीं है? क्यों ऐसे कहा जा रहा है? क्या वहां पर लोग नकारात्मक राजनीति नहीं कर रहे सर?
See, Arnab,
Rahul Narvekar was making a point. No, Rahul Narvekar. No, 1 second. So, Nalin Kohli, my second question to you will be, consider सारी opposition गलत है, सब गलत है, सब गलत समझते हैं. भारतीय जनता पार्टी is the most accommodative party. Problem opposition में इसके साथ है. तो फिर नलिन कोहली कहे कि why? नहीं, नलिन कोहली then understand today your ugly fight with the Shiv Sena, आपके अपने allies के साथ. You have an ugly fight with the Shiv Sena which is brewing over the last few months. They say that you are arrogant. Yesterday they have praised Nitish Kumar and they have criticized your strategy.
Not only that, yesterday Mr. Sanjay Raut has come on record.
PDP in Kashmir.
That has caused
but Mr. Goswami.
No, why are your allies calling you arrogant? Nalin, why are your allies calling you arrogant?
It's not very complicated. No. I'm just simply saying, Mr. Goswami, it's very easily answered under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, which says freedom of expression and speech. So are we going to, because they are an ally partner of ours, say, no, you are not entitled to have a viewpoint?
The same freedom doesn't allow curtail other freedom, Nalin. You know very well, Nalin, why?
Mandate.
You know very well what Supreme Court has said, you know, about your own leader, Subramanian Swamy.
Okay, these are political things to draw it. Yashiki ji, I don't interrupt anybody, sir. Let me finish my point. Please then have a viewpoint. You are entitled to have a viewpoint. So let me just finish
fundamental right to
after
other
that election they said we are entitled to, we should be working together. So that's okay, that's part of the political work. But to immediately draw it as a strong line and build that as a hypothesis, that is incorrect, sir.
No, sir, you are, no, 1 second. You therefore believe everybody else is wrong.
I just need to ask
Nalin, understand. Nalin.
Arnab, let me answer quickly to Mr. Nalin.
Your arrogance is costing the party. People within your party feel that there is no democracy. The opposition feels you don't take people into confidence. You don't create consensus. But you're the only person and your party who think they are doing everything right. So don't you think there's a time has come to introspect?
No, Mr. Narvekar, I'll answer that. It's easy. But I'm smiling perhaps a little bit.
To introspect.
I'm smiling a little.
The people of this country have told you to introspect.
No, I'll answer that.
Okay, counter. Time for a counter. 2 minutes on this debate. Time for a counter.
Yes.
Time for a counter.
I'll answer that, and with due. I'm sorry to drag in the Congress party into this but the example is apt. 3 leaders in the Congress party had unparliamentary things to speak about Mr. Rahul Gandhi. They use words that I don't want to answer
about your own thing.
Does that mean the Congress party thinks like that?
First,
so don't.
First answer.
So therefore, what the example that he's saying,
answer the question raised by
Narvekar on everybody else, Mr. Narvekar.
Mr. Nalin Bhai, listen to this first. The Constitution, the Article 19, which gives the freedom of speech, gives every citizen same right. And you, one hand, you are critical about the ministers or MPs what saying, and at the same time, yes, you are saying that they have a right to speak. Just because they have a right to speak, just because they have a gun, you cannot go and kill other person. This is exactly what Supreme Court has just observed in your own leader Goswami's case. Just because you have freedom of speech, you cannot curtail others' freedom of speech or expression here.
I will answer that.
Point quickly on the GST bill, Arnab, because this is a good. One second. People, the country should know the truth on the GST bill. How your own party MP, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, former finance minister, the chairman
No.
And he
One second. Madhu God Yakshi, sorry to interrupt. Madhu God Yakshi, I'm running short of time, so I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
1
but
sentence
please
only to answer
understand.
Madhu Bhai Yashiki.
No, 1 second. My question to Madhu God Yakshi is, my question to Madhu God
Article 19(1)(a), you have the right of freedom of expression and speech.
No, my question to Madhu God Yakshi is it true? Madhu God Yakshi, even before the dates of the,
whether it is 504, whether it is 508 in the 8, whether it is any other section 499 defamation, law and order has to be taken.
The approach of the government here.
It's a state subject.
When the Telangana bill was stuck in the Rajya Sabha, when Telangana bill was stuck in the Rajya Sabha, when Mr. Jetli and Venkaiah Naidu was opposing in it, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji called for a meeting with Arun Jetli ji and Venkaiah Naidu ji, and it was resolved and bill was passed. All we are asking is, today the topic of the debate is how the upcoming session going to be, and the responsibility of the government here, the primary responsibility lies with the government, and you should take an initiative, the Prime Minister should take an initiative. The parliamentary democracy demands we, not I or me, which is the Modi's approach, and Congress approach is always we,
and that,
the citizens are we, the people of India.
Are you saying that you are going to respond positively to the government initiative? Are you ensuring this
taking the same thing further?
Are you going to ensure
listen to the
Tyagiji, Madhuji, are you going to ensure government takes initiative? Are you going to attend speakers all party meeting called by the honorable speaker? Are you going to respond to the agenda passed on by the parliamentary affairs minister?
Congress DNA is a constructive, responsible opposition role. It's not
so are you ensuring that
BJP DNA
through this
is
debate?
a destructive role.
Are you ensuring that through this debate?
Yes, of course, we always said it, and we set an example. Go through the record of UPA, how Mr. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh reached out to the leaders of opposition.
The basic principle of
why in 18 months, forget about the reaching out to the community.
But you made up your mind. But you have made up your mind. Sorry, 1 second. Madhu God Yakshi.
That is a concern.
No, last question to you is this. You've made up your mind. Rahul Narvekar has made up his mind. KC Tyagi has made up his mind. You have made up your mind.
We are with open mind. We are open mind people. We are Congress people. We are Congressies.
Was in favor of
we are congressmen, not the BJP people with a closed mindset.
The government should take into account.
We are not backed by RSS ideology.
We had never.
आप तो decide कर चुके हैं.
RSS into this. For everything you drag the RSS.
Why?
Where has the RSS got to do anything?
Nalin bhai, we are a Congress people with an open mind, open heart. Humility, not arrogancy.
Whatever openness you have, why don't you discuss it in the parliament?
A member of parliament. What is the restriction on him being a member of parliament? So why do you drag the RSS when you don't have a straight answer?
Arnab ji, I want to say.
That's a mindset. Your mindset is a closed mindset.
KC Tyagi and Nalin Kohli. Last part of the debate. KC Tyagi.
Arnab ji, on your channel, I promise, we will cooperate with the government, but we will like Sadhu and Sadhvis, Balyan and Giriraj Singh to cooperate with the constitution also.
Oh, right.
Will they? You ask from Mr. Ask from Nalin Kohli.
दूसरा प्रधानमंत्री उनको encourage करेगा, घर भी देगा.
I have not understood the point of what Madhubhai is saying. And I think everyone should speak good language. There can't be a fight about that. There can't be an argument about it. There can't be a debate about it.
1 second. Only KC Tyagi, please, with Nalin Kohli. KC Tyagi, repeat your question. Repeat your question.
मैं आपके चैनल पे कहता हूं कि जो रिफॉर्म के जो हमने कमेटी में पास किए हम उसको पास कराने के लिए तैयार हैं. वी विल कोऑपरेट विद द गवर्नमेंट. आई वांट टू आस्क माय यंगर ब्रदर वेदर साक्षी, साध्वी, बाल्यान एंड गिरिराज विल दे कोऑपरेट विद द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन?
Will Giriraj Singh cooperate with the Constitution?
आपने
Good point.
Yes. हाँ, क्या केसी त्यागी जी, your question is almost as if you were taking over the anchoring of this show. I'm saying that in lighter moment, but I'll give an answer on that also. जो आप बात कह रहे हैं, ये कृपया पार्लियामेंट के अंदर में पार्लियामेंट्री मिनिस्टर से बात कर लीजिए, क्योंकि मैं तो पार्लियामेंट में हूं नहीं और ये दायित्व मेरा नहीं है. और जो बात आप भाषा की बात कर रहे हैं, उस भाषा के बारे में मैं कह रहा हूं. सेकंड पार्ट सुन लीजिए भाई साहब. सेकंड पार्ट जो भाषा पे आप कह रहे हैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को लेके,
केसी त्यागी जी नलिन कोहली डॉज कर रहे हैं सवाल को. नलिन कोहली डॉज कर रहे हैं सवाल को.
कहने दीजिए. सेकंड पार्ट आई एम नॉट डॉजिंग. Each part is separate.
Nalin Kohli
Each part is separate. I am answering it, Mr. Goswami.
No.
Second part is about language. Intemperate language that he is saying and counting out examples.
Duck किया आपने.
In
bouncer.
1 minute,
There was
let me
a bouncer
answer it,
from
please. Let me
K.C.
answer
Tyagi and you
it.
ducked
Mr. Goswami. Mr. Goswami, let me just finish it in one sentence. Intemperate statements by anybody should not take place. And even the same thing of following the constitution would be on those people who are using intemperate language and may not be in the BJP. It applies to everybody.
You ducked it, sir.
See, no,
आपने duck कर दिया.
Everybody should cooperate and
one
work.
second. Okay.
Everybody should work as per the constitution.
Mr. Goswami, the Times now has
constitution says
cooperation
it
with
is
the
a
three
collective responsibility.
parties.
So it should not be a blame game.
And you are
Nobody
not
has
saying necessarily
encouraged
that I have
any
not fully
statement.
answered it.
Nobody has defended. No defense of any unconstitutional
Can I say
language
one
or
thing?
incident.
Can I say one thing at the end? There has been an electoral defeat. There are 282 seats that the ruling party has. If the ruling party has to build a consensus to move on legislation and reforms, the onus is on the ruling party to build that consensus. Nobody will disagree with that. I thank you all very much for joining me on Newshour.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.